it's got to be mobile. It's got to be on there.
You want to be the source, and so it's your goal to make sure you're in front of them as often as you can be.
We are all going to have to learn new skill sets, and it starts now.
If I could spend all my time on anything media in my organization, it'd probably be social media.
Association Media and Publishing has a very strong Twitter presence. We Twitter every day of the week. We really have a huge Twitter stream and following at our annual meeting, where we put up the Twitter stream in the exhibit hall, and people can see their picture up there, what they're tweeting, what's going on in that concurrent session, what's going on in the exhibit hall. We also have a very active presence on Facebook, and we use Facebook to not only market our programs and our products and services, but to also provide content that is relevant to the industry. It's very important to draw people in from every area. Some people only use Facebook, some people only use Twitter, and you need to go where they're going to be.
It's very much about living it. Like any kind of technology, like email a few years ago, if you're not using it every day, then it's very foreign, and you can't really understand the nuances of how it works and how relationship building happens and how connecting with other people happens through social media unless you're using it all the time.
So how do you keep up with this thing? There seems to be a new social media, the new kid on the block every week, right? If it's Foursquare, if it's something new. I try to jump in with both feet, and if I find value in it, I'll continue it. Now, for example, on Twitter, I had a Twitter account for about 6 months. I didn't see the value in it. After about 6 months, I had some conversations with people, in fact, on the board of AM&P. Lo and behold, they gave me some ideas about what I might do with Twitter. The thing worked for me, and all of a sudden, I've got followers. People are following me that I've never heard of. I don't know why they're following me, but 6 months later, I've got a couple hundred followers, and we're communicating, we're dialoguing. Before, I was just confused about whether people wanted to know if I was in line at Safeway. Who cares? Now, at least my orientation on Twitter is it's entirely professional. I don't do anything personal on there. And I think for me, that's what makes sense. Now, I know for other people they can blend it, but for me, it makes sense to keep it entirely professional.
Mobile media is going to be probably the way that associations will push information out. I think a lot of associations will probably, I hate to say this, but will probably pull back on print a bit. Associations are going to probably realize that we can't use kind of the cookie cutter app. And eventually associations are going to say, look, I want a unique app that does only what I want it to do.
We have been looking at mobile content carefully, although it's been important to me to wait until you have a good idea and not to just jump on the bandwagon. So we have mobile versions of our magazine website. We're looking at apps, and I expect we will have apps within the next year.
The growth in the use of e-readers as well as tablets, because they're competing in some senses for the same consumption of content, has had a major effect already in the for-profit world. And you see this in, for example, the collapse of Borders, or the challenges even that Barnes & Noble faces and has had to bring out its own e-reader. But it really doesn't present as much of a challenge for associations because they're not selling content generally in the same way. What it presents is an opportunity to reach a much wider audience with two different things. One is the content that they have now that wouldn't have been cost-effectively marketed to a broader audience because they're not in bookstores. They're typically sold either on a website or catalog. So that you can get direct digital distribution to these devices. The second is it gives you the ability to create content that is specific to the device, not necessarily as long or as detailed, or it could even be a repackaging or restatement of content that you've already published. You wouldn't have done it if, for example, you had to commit to a print run and storage and inventory. But a digital distribution platform gives an association the opportunity to do a lot more and test things in both big and small ways without necessarily breaking the bank.
We have jumped into the mobile app space and are entering our second year of a mobile app that's specifically around our trade show. So it has a very short lifespan in that it's good a little before the show, at the show, and a little bit after the show. So what we're really trying to do now is to figure out how to take that disposable mobile app and to create it and evolve it into something that's more of a year-round resource for our membership.
Our mobile strategy, at least from the publication side, has become, and I think more of our departments are taking that on, is How do we deliver that content to the members when they want it, how they want it, and where they want it? And that's crucial because everyone has a smartphone now, it seems like. Almost everyone has a tablet. If they don't have a tablet, they're carrying a laptop. And so how you present that information to them, you have to be in front of them on a regular basis so they remember to go back to you. You want to become the premier source of information. You don't want them going to Google or Yahoo and finding it somewhere else.
You might have to slowly integrate things rather than, completely cut out your print magazine and replace it with all digital. That might be too extreme. So it might be more of a building block process.
This year we've just committed a significant chunk of our budget to launching a virtual show. And in year one, a virtual show for our association is going to have a huge video component, a lot of live streaming of our general sessions, and maybe 2 or 3 of our 50 workshops. And then the second piece is really kind of a social media connections kind of piece with a lot of chat rooms and online communities so that our members with similar interests, maybe the smaller retailers that we have or the retailers attending the show who are from Texas or the ones who are interested in store redesign, that we provide these online communities in our virtual show site for them to connect.